This video is brought to you by the FarmerKlein YouTube channel. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment.
Hello everybody, welcome back to another Farming Simulator 22 map first impressions video. Today we're going to take a look at somewhere in Lower Bavaria. But before that, this video is brought to you by Soul Farmer and Jason Austin. Thank you for being farm barons. So the somewhere in Lower Bavaria map can be found over at the farmingsimulator.com website or the in-game downloadable content menu. And as of the 1.0 release, this map is available for all platforms. Let me read you some of the description. Welcome to Somewhere in Bavarian Forest. This is my first map, which is based on an area near Passau. On this map, you'll find 6 farms, 63 farmlands, 13 forests, 1 large and 1 small BGA, and various productions. Have fun on my first modding project. Now, this map does have quite an extensive list of required mods, and I will tell you that I did kind of add up the total file size of the map and all the required mods, and we are pushing 900 megabytes with respect to the map and the required mods. I know that that may preclude a few of you from being interested in this map simply just based on the overall file size between the map and the mods. But give it a chance, because this is a really nice map for this particular map author's very first project. So the required mods include additional decoration package, agricultural fair, BGA 50 kilowatt, Bavarian farm building package, Bavarian farm package, concrete bunker silo, decorative details pack. We have then the field shelter, Franconian farm buildings, the fruit greenhouse, half timbered shelter, Hessen farm, Landsberg farm, Lower Bavarian farm pack, old shed, open air garden, pack of small shelters, package of premium pallets and bags, placeable dairy farm package, recycling center, self-marketing, sheep small barn, small garden, vehicle workshop, and the wooden pasture pack. So in addition to those required mods, we are also going to be using the mods we typically use when we look at maps, which are additional field info, additional game settings, field lease, field calculator, animal food overview, precision farming, and straw harvest. Now, I will tell you, if you load this map up in farm manager mode or start from scratch, you will find that everything is built out exactly how you see it here in new farm mode. In addition, you do start out with starting machinery in all play modes. Of course, in those alternate play modes, you do not start out with any land. In addition, I did load this map up on a smaller system or a lower end system that did have integrated graphics, and I was getting a fair bit of hitching and stuttering as if it was trying to load in and cache textures. Now, I didn't kind of exit the map and come back in again. Overall, I was getting pretty decent frame rates, but I was getting a significant amount of hitching. So I would say if you run on a lower end system, just be a little aware performance may be a little suspect on this particular map. With that, let's go ahead and take a look at the PDA itself. From the fields, you can see we have quite a listing of fields, and they are all rather interesting, organically shaped, I would say. Not too many really square or rectangular fields are going to be found here in somewhere in Lower Bavaria. We do have all the standard crops available to us in Farm Sim 22, in addition to the premium expansion crops of red beet, carrots, and parsnips. Take a look at our lands overview. We start by owning Farmland ID 29. That is the main starting farm that can be bought in any alternate game mode for $78,000. In addition to that, there are 5 other farms on this map. We have a sheep farm at Farmland ID 63. We have a cow farm at Farmland ID 36. At Farmland ID 65 and 64, we do have several greenhouses that can be bought. We have a chicken and cow farm at Farmland ID 48. We have a cow farm at Farmland ID 12. We have a BGA at Farmland ID 67, as well as 66, which is just south of the main starting farm. And in addition, we have an arable farm here at Farmland ID 55. And those are the 6 farms that are pre-placed on this map, as well as the 2 biogas plants that we have as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at our farmland lease screen. This is going to show us all of the viable farmlands, how large those farmlands are, if those farmlands include any fields, what fields are included, then lastly, how much is this farmland going to cost us. We're then going to be able to cross-reference this within the field calculator screen, and this is going to show us the specific sizes of each particular field. Of course, at any point in time, you can pause the video and take a look at these, but we're saving farmlands or field sizes anywhere between 6 hectares and less than 1 on average. We do have the standard base game crop counter available to us here on this particular map. And if you take a look down through our prices screen, you will see that we do indeed have the ability to sell all of our base game crops that are available to us here in FS22, as well as our eggs, wool, and milk, and our silage, hay, straw, and grass. As we continue down through all of our base game productions, we once again continue to see that trend of being able to sell all the base game productions. And in fact, you're going to find that the agricultural fair is literally going to buy nearly everything on the map. We do have the ability to buy bulk lime as well as sell lime, and we do have the ability of getting rid of our stones if you do play with stones enabled. Now, this is the very first map that we have seen after the farm production pack has launched. We do have that enabled, and we do have the ability to sell the washed vegetables here at the agricultural fair. In addition, we do have the ability to sell all of the platinum expansion production items as well at the agricultural fair. And as one might expect, we do have the ability to sell our premium expansion products at several sell points on the map. If you are playing with pumps and hoses, we do have the ability of getting rid of our separated manure. And if you are playing with straw harvest, we do have the ability of selling our hay and straw pellets. With respect to our starting fleet, we start out owning a fairly decent listing of starting equipment, given the sizes of these fields and the number of fields that we own at the start being a singular field. All of this equipment is owned, none of it is leased. We start out with a cow and chicken area, as well as three sheep pastures. Now, it's interesting to note that these 3 sheep pastures are over at a different farm, and technically we do not own the land at the start. We do have contracts available on this map, and we start out by owning a fermenting silo, as well as 2 open air gardens, a fruit greenhouse, 2 of those, and a small garden. All of those are owned at the start, and all of those are not at the starting farm either. So we're going to find those kind of scattered around the map. Lastly, this map does not have any collectibles. Let's go ahead and take a look at our starting fleet. We start out with the Valtra G125 and Steyr 8150 small tractors. We've got the Dudesfar Topliner 4090H harvester that is paired up with the 4090H grain header. We have our Welger DK115 trailer, as well as a Cinto 4000 super cultivator and the Amazon KG 3001 super power harrow. We have the Cintia 3000 super seeder, and the seeder and this power harrow are typically merged together to do one particular pass. We have the Amazon ZATS 3200 fertilizer spreader, the FarmTech Verifex 750 manure spreader. We have the Super Cease 800 slurry spreader, as well as the GMD 4411 side mower and the GMD 3123F front mower. We have the GF 8712 tedder and the GA 4731 windrower. We have the Boss Alpine 251 forage wagon, as well as the RA 142 TMR mixer and the 550 ABI water tanker. We have the Q3M front loader arms for our tractors, and for the front loader we do have a fork with grapple and a universal bucket. With respect to mods and DLCs, this map does not include any custom vehicles or implements. We do have the package of premium pallets and bags that are listed as a required mod, and therefore we do have the ability to buy those here in the shop. Now I'm just going to quickly tab over to our starting farm area here. Again, we are in new farmer mode, so we do own this land at the start, but in any alternate game mode, while this farm machinery and these buildings are pre-placed, We do not own those, and we will have to purchase those in order to use this farm. We have our wardrobe trigger and our sleep trigger here at our farmhouse. Lots of our machinery. And we have our fermenting silo. We have our dump and fill points there. We have a small cow area for 45 total cows. We have our milk trigger. And we have our food and straw trigger located right here. Now, we'll tell you with respect to selling all of the farm buildings on this particular map, a lot of the farm buildings can be sold, but there is typically at least one item at pretty much any farm that we're not going to be able to get rid of, and typically that is going to be the silage bunker. So a lot of the silage bunkers are pre-placed on this map and are not particularly sellable. We have our manure heap. You see our harvester parked over here by the field, ready to start harvesting their wheat. Now, you do see a fair bit of decorative items scattered around the farm. These decorative items can be sold, with the exception of this particular stack of logs. For whatever reason, that particular stack of logs cannot be sold, or I was having a fair bit of difficulty in getting those sold. We have our silo, our dump and fill point. And we're basically back here where we all started with respect to our starting farm. I am reminded that I just did not take a look at the soil map. This map is making use of a generic soil map. So let's go ahead and see how it is being applied to these fields. As I mentioned, we do have the generic soil map here. So to the north, we've got a fairly wide strip of silty clay. Also down here to the southwest, we've got silty clay. But in the main center of the map, we've got mostly a mix of loamy sand, sandy loam, and loam. Let's go ahead and get a little bit of the altitude and take a quick look around. We do see that this map does have some nice rolling fields and hills. Got a little bit of a town here to the south. Our vehicle shop is directly in front of us at this point. Then this does appear to be using the Arlangrant background. Here we have the small BGA that's just south of the starting farm. Got some selling points over here, and then we're going to take our way over here to the first secondary farm. I've gone ahead and bought all of the farmlands, just so we already own the farms, and I really do like this farm setup here at Farmland ID 63. And it's pretty much a rustic sheep farm. We're going to go through kind of more details on these farms when we get around to the drive around portion, but I do just want to kind of talk about this particular farm at this point in time because we're just kind of over here all by ourselves. We have several sheep areas, 30 sheep in this particular pen. We have our wool point, we have our water and our food. We have fuel storage. We do have our farm silo, our dump and fill point there. A little bit of shed storage. And then we have wool, food and water, 18 sheep in this pen. Once again, food, water, wool, and again, 30 sheep over here. So I really like this kind of rustic area. I could see you playing this with smaller machinery, older machinery. Nice winding lane in order to get into here. I did try to delete some of these fences, and I was successful in deleting the fences out of the way, at least on the ones that I tried, so you shouldn't have too much issue in clearing those fences out of the way. We have a recycling center sell point. Below over here, we have a grape processor. And here we have some of the greenhouses I was mentioning at Farmland ID 64 and 65. And we have a cow farm at Farmland ID 36. We'll be coming back to this one. This map has 18 productions built in. Those include 2 biogas plants, 2 bakeries, a sawmill, a grain mill, a sugar mill, a dairy mill, oil and grape processor. We have a spinnery, a carpentry, a fermenter. We have 2 open gardens, 2 fruit gardens, and a small garden, or 2 fruit greenhouses. So we have another cow farm located below here. Another cow farm directly ahead. Located right there. And then up here in the extreme northwest corner, we have the second and larger biogas plant. I think if I were to give advice to the map author on maybe what they could have done a little bit different on this map, and that would probably have been to make use of the structures a little bit more frugal, and therefore maybe have a little less as far as required mods go, because the map itself is 419 megabytes. But when you add in all of the required mods, you're over 900. So you're more than doubling the download and doubling the disk space requirement for those on console by just adding in all of these required mods. Now, of course, I can kind of understand why you would want to go and do that, so that you would have some kind of building variety. You wouldn't all have the same farm built out using the same buildings, but at the same time, more than doubling the size of the overall map and corresponding required mods by including pretty much any and all German farm building packs. That kind of does go and maybe sour the apple a little bit for some. Over here at the animal dealer, we do have 4 food buying silos for TMR, wheat for our chickens, we have oats for our horses, and pig food for our pigs. Several of these fields do look as if they could be easily merged together by just taking out a few trees and then applying up some kind of gravel textures. Got a grain sell point below there. Very interesting road here. Nice little jig, a little jag, and then off we go. We have our sawmill located below there. And then off in the distance, up in the hill, we have what I'm calling the arable farm, with several switchbacks coming up here to this farm on top of the hill. Now, I guess it is a cow farm. I was calling it an arable farm earlier. And then coming back over here into town. Got a sell point below. And then our vehicle dealer. Let's go ahead and pick up that Mahindra. Do a little bit of a drive. An okay size as far as spawn point location here for our new vehicles and machinery. We have two ways out of here. We've got kind of a wide entrance here, but then we've got to make our turn and go down to the main street, which itself is fairly wide. Then we've got a kind of little narrower side entrance. And we'll have to navigate here because we've got a deco trailer full of grain just kind of sitting in the middle of the road as well. I believe this is where we're going to find our service center. So it's not listed as a dealer trigger. So this is listed as a vehicle workshop trigger. So you may be precluded from being able to kind of repaint your vehicles. And let's get on with the drive around portion and talk about some of our scoring. So with respect to production being built in or areas set aside for such, we're going to be giving the map a full point because we have 18 productions built into the map. Definitely don't need areas set aside for such when you have that many productions built in. So a full point there. We have a grocery sell point. With respect to the ability to sell all our basic crops, animal outputs, and production points. Yes. We're going to be giving the map a full point there as well, because we do have the ability of selling all of our basic crops, all of our basic productions, all of the premium expansion and platinum expansion productions and crops, as well as other add-ons like the farm production pack that just released, because the agricultural fair is set up to basically accept everything. So here we have our grain mill, we have a pallet spawn point, our interactive icon, and then our dump point. Now, with respect to farms being customizable, well, many of these farms do have at least one thing in common, and that is there's at least one thing that you cannot sell, and typically that one thing is going to be a silage bunker or more. Now, given that fact, we are going to be a little prudent, a little kind of stringent maybe with our scoring. We're going to take 1/4 of a point off. Now, it's not that big and not that impactful at many of these farming locations because the locations of those bunkers are kind of out of the way. So that's not that big of a deal. But collectively, we have 6 farms, and I'm going to say at least 5 of those farms are going to have something like a silage bunker that we can't get rid of. Even though if it is out of the way, we are going to be taking 1/4 of a point off simply for the fact that we just have so many. So we have our starting farm, which is right here, right on the other side of that gate. Watch out, dude. We have a restaurant sell point here in town. And then we'll go ahead and kind of make our way out of town. And here we have one of our bakeries. So we have our dump point, our interactive icon, and our pallet point. A really interesting road network. And for being the map author's very first shot at this, I think he's done a pretty darn good job. So here we have the agricultural fair. And like I said, this is basically set up to pretty much accept everything and anything that is available for sale here on the map. We also have a wood sell trigger here at the agricultural fair. This is just south of Field 3. Let's do this. Let's go across the map. We don't need to go back to the sheep farm area, which is farmland ID 63. I feel we've covered that in the fly around portion. Fairly densely populated forest here. I do like the forest ground and foliage going on in there. Let's go a little driving first-hand perspective. See the rolling hills nature and how far that one farm is really sitting up there on the hill. That's where we're ultimately going next. And why not? Let's go ahead and take this road with all of its switchbacks. It did look like there was an alternate way into this farm. It wasn't so back and forth. So if navigating these switchbacks does get you a little road motion sick, then you could maybe want to use the alternate route to get up into here. So we have our manure heap here on our right. We do have 2 pull-through silage bunkers. We have a slurry point, and inside we have our cow area. So we have our dairy. And here we have our cow delivery trigger. 45 cows in total are going to go there. Then we have our food trough. We have our wardrobe and sleep trigger here and here. And that is pretty much this farm area. Not a lot going on up here. I'll see if we can't take the alternate road out of here. So right here, you can see that. Now that is one steep hill. You're definitely going to want to be working across the hill. Possibly. Terrified your machinery is going to roll at any point in time. Maybe it's a good field to make into a grass area. I do like seeing maps where we do have kind of varied terrain. Maybe sometimes a little questionable terrain of maybe should we really be farming on this incline. I believe this map is going to play and feel a lot larger than it really is, simply because of how the road network is set up. It's not a road network where you have, this is kind of floating on above the ground. Wouldn't you realize that if we didn't have accidentally driven off the road edge there, but the way you can only get to certain places from kind of certain road networks and directions is really what's going to make this map feel larger than it is. We have our sawmill, so we have our wood cell trigger, we have our pallet spawn point, we have an interactive icon, and we're going to find our wood chip point, hopefully, around here somewhere. I don't know where our wood chips are coming out of that. We will be doing a production overview here in a little bit. Now, while this map doesn't have really a lot of custom production, the required mods included are kind of custom production in their own right. So here we have a grain sell point. Again, we're going to have areas on this road network that are... The road seems to be just floating above the ground a little bit too much. As long as you don't drive off the road, you're going to be pretty good here. So we have a buy point for slurry. We have a bale sell point. We have our animal dealer buy point. Here we're going to be able to buy total mixed rations, wheat, aka chicken food, oat, aka horse food, and pig food. Continuing to make our way to the west edge of the map. We have another grain sell point. And we have our stone crusher located here as well. I feel like the edges of the map are done really well here. We're running right along the edge of the map, and we really don't know that because of how dense the trees are planted here. We have our dairy, so we have an interactive icon in the front, pallet spawn point, and dump point around the back. We also have our sugar mill here and our cereal factory. So these are just base game productions. Pretty much know where those triggers are going to be located. And we're making our way up to the large biogas plant. I was successful in selling most of the things up here at this particular BGA. You do need to own the land in order to own the biogas plant itself. come on into here. Wrong turn, Charlie. We need to come in through here and wind our way around these standing water ponds, water puddles. Here we have the BGA. Once you go over the scale, we do have two 3-sided silage bunkers. Those are going to be permanently a part of the map. We have a 3-bay garage, and we have the BGA proper. We were able to sell the BGA proper, and I do believe that these other auxiliary buildings did remain. But it will give you some room there if you do want to put down your own biogas plant, or build out a BGA from pumps and hoses. Let's make our way over to another possible player farm location. It's going to be here on the left. And I do have to say, we are going to be taking a little bit of points off as a result of this. With respect to buildings where appropriately are using the new texturing technique as well as ground textures, this dirt road is just awful. With respect to when you get up close to it, it just falls apart. It's good at, like, 75 feet. But the closer you get to it, well, it turns a little bit ugly. And as such, we also have other areas where we've got some roads that are kind of using some low resolution textures. They are kind of pre-placed assets as opposed to maybe using kind of painted dirt roads and such in here. Now, with respect to our ground textures, we got a fairly standard listing here of ground textures and plants. With respect to buildings and other such, we've got so many required mods. There's just going to be a ton of buildable options available to you. We've got our cow barn, so we have our food trough in here. We're going to have our slurry point. Cow drop off. 80 cows in total in this building. We have a manure heap. Some vehicle machinery storage. This is going to be for our milk. We do have a fuel trigger there. I have seed storage. We have 2 pull-through silage bunkers. And then we have our silo, dump, and fill point. I think the map author has done, again, a really kind of bang-up job for their first time out here. Really impressive with this first time outing. We have our farmhouse with our wardrobe and sleep trigger. We got a little bit of a farm sell point located here. Just going to kind of shoot across a little bit. We have our second bakery. With our interactive icon here, we have our pallet and dump pointer on the back. And then we have a biomass heating plant sell point located right here. That's going to be for selling logs and wood chips. We got really nice deco elements here with these tractors and trailers with logs. Log piles also stacked up there. That's how we're going to be getting into here. Let's double down and make our way across the northern part of the map at this point. Now, other than really the road where we came out of our shop down in town, a lot of these other roads have been fairly narrow. So with respect to maybe bigger machinery, might be something worth being a little cautious about. And here we are at another farm. This farm is kind of split between the two roads. Do have a chicken pasture located here. 30 chickens in total. With our food trough. As far as egg spawn point right here to the side of that. Then this is going to be one of the garden areas. A small garden. And this small garden is going to accept garden substrate, water, seed, solid fertilizer, straw, and manure. And it's going to output lettuce, tomato, and strawberries. We're going to have a water fill trigger here at the well. We have 3 silage bunkers across the street. Our sleep trigger right here, right across the street. Then we have another cow area. So we're going to have a manure heap, slurry point, food trough. We have our cow delivery point. 45 cows here. We have our milk draw point. There we've got that dirt, low texture dirt again. Slurry storage. We have another chicken coop. So we have our food to dump there. $360 chickens in here. We have our food fill pipe, or not a food, our silo fill pipe and empty pipe. Dump station, fill station. As far as our egg spawn point here, not really seeing it. That, of course, will come into play here in a little bit. Your way down this dirt road. The dirt road is showing it's bending off here to the left. We're just going to go ahead and go straight. This is going to take us up to where the greenhouses are located. Just going to cheat a little bit getting over here. So this is the recycling center sell point. We're going to be able to drop off a whole bunch of different types of things. And an arrow to get into here. We have our grape processor, our pallet interactive icon. We have our dump point on the side. Our carpentry located right over here. So the interactive icon. We have our wood cell trigger and drop off point pallets on the side. Then over here we have multiple fruit, greenhouses, and open gardens. So here we have an open-aired garden. Water, seed, solid fertilizer, and manure. And depending on what inputs we provide, we're going to be able to do lettuce, tomatoes, strawberries, potatoes, sunflower, sugar beet, soybean, corn, and cotton. That's just with supplying water. We add seed and fertilizer to that. We're going to get more of an output on all of those products. Or we could add seed and manure. We have 2 of those, as well as 2 of these fruit greenhouses up here. The fruit greenhouses are going to accept water, seed, solid fertilizer, and herbicide. And it's going to output grapes, olives, tomatoes, lettuce, strawberries, potatoes, sugar beet, and cotton. Then we have our spinnery located here. So we have our interactive icon, our dump point, and pallet point over here on this side. Now let's see if we can't make it down the road the way we should have come into here. Then we'll wind our way over here to another dairy farm. Right here, farmland ID 36. And 36 is also kind of split between this road. There's some buildings on the other side of the street. We have our farmhouse with our sleep trigger. Here we have our milk point. And I can already tell we've got static cows in here. Not a big fan of static cows. Don't know about other folks. 28 cows are going to be going in this facility. Then we have our straw and food drop off there. Nice large shed for implement and vehicle storage. And a storage here on the lower level. Then up on the upper level, we do have our silo. Some more machinery. And then back down to this level, we have our slurry draw point. This barn does have an upper level where we can store various things. Some of these doors are extremely slow to activate. So with respect to our final scoring metric, trigger and interactive areas being clearly marked, we're going to take our quarter point off there as well. That's going to wrap this map up with a score of 4.25 out of 5. We took a quarter point off 3 different times. One with respect to the farms being customizable, because we did have just little things here and there that were not sellable at at least 5 of the 6 various farm areas. We took a quarter point off for buildings where appropriate using the new texturing technique because of those really low res prefab kind of road items, mostly the dirt roads that are used in a couple different places. And then we took a quarter point off with respect to the trigger and interactive areas being clearly marked. That large chicken area, just could not see where that was going to happen. The vehicle workshop at the main vehicle dealer, we also didn't really see any clear markings as to where that was going to be located, if it was in all of those bays, extended outside of those bay doors, or what. So again, not a very bad score at all on this map, especially given that this is the map author's very first foray into map making and publishing their map. Congratulations, getting your first map over on the Giants Mod Hub. It itself is quite an achievement. I want to thank you all for watching this video. Please go ahead and hit that thumbs up button, give me a like, and why not go ahead and share the video out. If you got fellow friends and family that play Farming Simulator, think they would enjoy this map, go ahead and share the video out to them as well. And until next time, happy farming.